Thank you, Madam Speaker. It's a bit different not having a desk, so thank you for your patience. I am rising to speak today to an act to amend the Residential Tenancies Act, Bill 66. And as with the previous bill we discussed, Bill 65, I recognize some pieces that the Green Caucus has actually been advocating for a long time, such as limiting rent increases to once per year. And so, of course, I'm happy to see these ideas, our ideas put forward, and the ideas of renters listened to. However, similar to the previous bill discussed, this does not go far enough. Really, what we've seen and what the government's report said is that we do have a housing crisis, and the government was slow to respond when there were calls around this, but they did do the 90-day rental review. And what it revealed, and I'm reading from the review of the rental landscape in New Brunswick report, what it revealed is that there is a gap between what New Brunswickers need and what there is available on the rental market, that the cost of building and maintaining units are rising, lower cost housing units reported as inadequate, housing market not working for everyone, New Brunswickers are making hard choices to stay housed, New Brunswickers feel unprotected, developing affordable housing has roadblocks, and communities in rural areas have unique challenges. And so this, again, this takes a step in the right direction with limiting the rise in, being able to have the rent rise. However, it doesn't, from what I can see, prevent the types of spikes in rent that we have been seeing in our communities, and this has been a major issue. There are people who have lost their housing, and I heard the minister say that this would give tenants more time to prepare, and immediately what came to mind is more time to prepare to move, more time to prepare to be evicted, more time to prepare to find something more affordable. And hopefully they would be able to find something affordable, but that is not the situation that people are experiencing right now. This is something that comes up regularly, and I hear MLAs from all sides of the House saying that people are coming to their constituency offices. People are saying, I don't have housing. People are really struggling. And it is a major issue that's not going away. And we need to have solutions around housing. We need to have investment in public housing, and we need to have some creative solutions around housing as well. There are options out there, and I think that we've really only scratched the surface of what could be done. And you know what? There used to be more involvement with government ensuring that people had housing, and it's really over the decades gone down. But there's opportunities to ensure that there's adequate housing for everyone. And one of the things that it's easy to lose sight of is that housing is a human right, and we need to have a housing first approach when we are talking about housing. And that means everyone has the right to housing, and people have housing, and even if people are struggling in a difficult situation, having housing helps them get their feet under them. We need to make sure that everyone has access to housing. And I was just reading from, the Convention on the Rights of the Child that coming from the United Nations, and it talks about government requiring or being required to make sure that children have housing, but this is true for adults as well. Everyone must have housing. And so here we are with again, an incremental approach to what needs to be done. There needs to be more action taken. We cannot have rent increases that are just astronomical and are just unsustainable and force people to move. And again, move into a housing market where there aren't options. There were other things in this report that I think are worth mentioning. And one of them is to address the real issue of the short-term rental market. And we see some other provinces are looking at this, but an example would be the company Airbnb, but we see the short-term rental market taking off, and we see how that impacts the rental market, that basically housing is being taken off the market and being used for tourism, for short-term rentals. And it's not inherently bad to have short-term rentals, but in the absence of ensuring that it doesn't, in the absence of some regulation to make sure that it doesn't completely decimate the housing market, that's what we're seeing, that it is one of the factors contributing to there being a lack of housing. And this is true in urban areas, this is true in rural areas. And I can't speak about housing and about this bill without, referring back to the previous bill, because this has to do with people having an adequate income to be able to even afford housing. And we know that that is not the case for so many New Brunswickers. And one of the things even highlighted in this report was people having to make tough choices. People, are choosing between eating and paying for housing and paying for the groceries they need. And we know that when people have adequate income and affordable housing, that they are going to be able to purchase better groceries for themselves and for their families, that they're going to have a better quality of life. And this is something that frankly is not happening for enough New Brunswickers. And so again, this incremental approach does not go far enough. And my apologies again, one of the challenges of not having a desk is not being able to lay out all of my papers where I need them to be. So one of the other things that is needed is for the funding that's come from the federal government to be used, and for there to be good collaboration with nonprofit sector to actually build and maintain housing that is safe, that is, I think adequate might not sound like a very nice word, but we know that even just safe and adequate housing would be a good place to start for a lot of people, because one of the findings in this report was that I believe it was almost half of renters indicated they didn't feel that their rental unit was being maintained properly. And so we have a lot of problems, and I think that one of the issues that we find as well is going to the tribunal. People really struggle to navigate that, and we need to make sure that renters have more protections, that they're really taken care of. So all that to say, again, an incremental one step in the right direction, but there needs to be more that's done. This is a major crisis, and one of the things that I'm starting to think of as we have colder nights and colder days, frankly, as we head towards winter, is there will be people who are unhoused, and that is unacceptable for us to allow that to happen in our society, that people who want to be housed need to be able to be housed. It's a human right. And people are going to be choosing about whether they are going to heat their house if they can afford their heating bill, or if they're going to choose groceries. And so once again, I think this is a small step, but it's again an incremental step, and we need to have bolder action on housing, and that's what I would urge from this government. I'm sure we'll have lots of questions in committee, but I thank you, Madam Chair, or Madam Speaker, for this time. Thank you.